Welcome to episode 1 of the Living in Tacoma Washington podcast. This is going to be hosted by myself, Austin Robertson. I am also one of the co-owners of the YouTube channel Living in Tacoma Washington, as well as a part of the Titus Robertson real estate group here locally. And we actually specialize in the greater Tacoma area and relocating people from all over the country. So what I wanted to do today is for episode 1, it was just to kind of hop on here and tell you a little bit about the vision of this podcast, what we're going to be doing with it, and what you can look forward to as we go along. So think of this as kind of like an intro to me and an intro to the podcast in general. So I actually am a transplant myself. I moved to the Tacoma Washington area just a few years ago with my family from Missouri. We had a really amazing business back in the Midwest, but we were kind of tired of Missouri. We weren't really feeling the Midwest anymore. We were tired of the super hot summers and the freezing cold winters. In fact, the last year we were in Missouri, we actually hit negative 22. We had rolling brownouts. It was an absolutely brutal experience. I cannot tell you how much I absolutely hated it. If you ever lived in the Midwest, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, as we got to this point, we kind of started thinking, like, do we want to retire here? Do we want to continue to build our business and be here forever? And what we found was that it really wasn't the best choice for our family. And so we started to do a lot of research. We started to travel around and we looked at a bunch of different areas. And honestly, guys, traveling was an incredible experience. So one of the places we loved a lot was 30A down in the Destin, Florida area. Even looked at a house in Santa Rosa Beach, and that almost kind of became the spot. We also really were in love with Dallas, Texas, and more of the northern suburbs of Dallas. But there were some things there that we really didn't like. We didn't like the hard and fast right-wing approach to everything. We noticed a culture of, if you had any differentiating opinions, people were quick to shove theirs down your throat. And we were really looking for a place where we could just kind of grow into the family that we wanted to be. Now, about this time, I get an invite out to Leavenworth. And if you live anywhere in Washington or the Pacific Northwest, you know Leavenworth as the picturesque snow globe Hallmark movie little town that it is, tucked away in the Cascade Mountains. It just invokes like pure serendipity when you get there. But the situation shouldn't have been that obtruse. But what happens is, being from the Midwest, Leavenworth is a prison in Kansas. So my mind was like, I do not want to go on a weekend trip to Leavenworth. Well, obviously, I didn't know what I was getting into. I said, no, we're talking about Leavenworth, Washington. I honestly had never been out this way into Washington before. My mother-in-law actually is a huge fan of Seattle and has been for a long time. And I used to give her a lot of flack about it, being just 100% pure and transparent there. But I traveled out to Leavenworth, and it was probably the most iconic, beautiful thing I had ever seen. We did a hike near the Icicle River, Icicle Gorge, whatever it is out there. And I was just enamored, like the mountains and the huge trees, the water. Like, it was stuff I had only really seen on TV, frankly, coming from the Midwest, where it's just like flat and then corn and then wheat and then more flat. And I was shocked, so much so that after the trip out in Leavenworth, we ended up coming back to the greater Seattle area. We stayed in Sumner, Washington, and I will never forget the first time I looked out my hotel window and I saw Mount Rainier. And this was during sunrise, so the colors that painted the sky were just something that I don't even have a reference point to where my mind and heart went. It felt just absolutely incredible to experience. And I wanted to explore more. So I spent a couple days in Seattle. I really liked the Seattle area. Obviously, a lot to do. Traffic was awful. And then we came down more towards the Tacoma area. And it had a little more of that, what I would kind of consider like the Missouri feel. Like it's a little more blue collar. It's a little more working class. Yeah, absolutely a ton of tech. Yeah, absolutely a lot of professional positions. But at the same time, quite a bit more down to earth. Still a lot of art, very diverse city. And, the prices were not nearly they're half of what they were in Seattle. And I remember calling my wife, Elena, and being like, we're moving here. Like, I want to move here. I'm set. And you've seen the memes of, guys getting it, do one thing in a new city, like, oh my God, should I move here? And it literally was like that for me. I was just completely taken in by the city of Tacoma, the people, looking at Commencement Bay, seeing the Olympics on one side, the Cascades on the other, all of the water, guys out crab fishing, seeing seals was, I was just rocked. So I went back home and I actually convinced my wife to come out here on another trip, and she loved it. I mean, I don't know that she was super sold on the fact of, us closing up our real estate business and moving to a new state, especially in my industry where it takes a while to build business. It takes a while to build really your industry and get your feet underneath you. So we ended up talking about it for pretty much, about a month. And then we went hot and heavy. From that point on, it was only a few months until we were here in Washington and we were starting completely over from scratch. And throughout the journey of this podcast, I'm going to talk about what we experienced. I'm going to talk about, the mistakes we made in relocation, what I definitely could have done better. And not only in relocation, but what I could have done differently socially to maybe make the transition as an adult and for my children even easier. I also plan on bringing on guests who run local businesses, chatting with them about what's coming out, what they're doing, to give you more of an insight inside of the greater Tacoma area, meaning we're going to cover everything from Tacoma, but also the suburbs. We're going to hit Puyallup. We're going to hit Bonney Lake, University Place. We're not going to constrict this podcast necessarily to Tacoma proper. And then what I'm really excited about is I'm also going to grab some of our clients who have found us through YouTube and have relocated from other states all across America and have moved to Tacoma. And we want to ask them those same questions about their relocation process, where they've landed, what they've learned, and what life has been like here living in Tacoma. We're going to be releasing these once a week. You're going to be able to find them on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, and anywhere that podcasts are found. And hey, look, if you're looking to make your move to Tacoma or the greater Seattle area, I honestly don't care if it's the next 3 days or the next 3 months. Reach out to us, shoot us a phone call, text, or an email so that we can help you make a smooth move out to the greater Tacoma area. Number is 253-225-2395. Again, that's 253-225-2395. And our email is info@livingintacomawashington.com. So until the next episode, as we dig in and we dive deeper, Living in Tacoma Washington crew, can't wait to see you guys on the next one.